As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted in March, welcome to the House of Memorandum and to this amazing exhibition, which has been seen by a lot more people in the end than we thought, but fewer people than we thought when we were last here in the middle of March. It has been an eventful year so far. It's only been 6 months, and it's been an eventful year. It feels like longer. My role here is simply to welcome you. I realise that actually last time we met, I said a few things about partnership. Slightly prophetic, I suppose. Leigh had not been here that long, but we had managed to meet a few times. Since then, we have shared a few more cups of tea, virtually and physically. And as a result, we have made progress, I think, in something which for us is very unusual for the Trust, but for the Wildlife Trust less so. And the last few months have seen a flurry of activity and signing ceremonies. We thought we'd do it equally formally, and what an amazing backdrop. Apologies for doing it at short notice, but the exhibition closes this weekend, so this is your last chance to, I was going to say last chance to see it, it's your last chance to buy it, which probably reflects the new realities. Memorandum of Understanding, as my chairman has just pointed out, because he's a lawyer, they have no legal standing. Great. What they are is a framework, and a framework for making you think, for challenging you to do things differently, but also to test why you're doing something in the first place. This is hugely important for organisations like ourselves, which are occupying spaces in the Manx community, which often confuse people. We often do things together, this being one of them, and sometimes people can rightly say, well, why do you do that and you do this? And the answer is we're doing different things, we're doing different, we are different structures, different types of staffing and governance arrangements, and we are fundamentally different organisations. That doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter. But it does mean that when we work together, we have the opportunity to be more powerful, actually, to have a bigger impact, a stronger footprint, and play a greater role in the islands community. And that's what we're going to do here. The formalities, the protocol, whether you think of the parallel of weddings where it's not over till it's signed and consummated, we're not going to go down that route. Or the diplomatic treaty where it's not over till it's broken and war's broken out. Hopefully we won't go down that route either. But three speeches to follow me, and then formal signing ceremony.
So my name's Jonathan Hall. I'm the chairman of the Manx Museum and National Trust. And I said that quite deliberately. Manx National Heritage is a trading name, and it's the name that we're known by, but we are the Manx Museum and National Trust, and it's at times like this that we have to remember that we are the National Trust as well. So we are one of the oldest institutions and certainly charities in the island. We're governed by legislation. The lawyer has to get that in, and our duties under the legislation are all about preservation. They're particularly about, and it's unusual language in legislation. It says to preserve the beauty of the land, which I think is probably unusual. But it's also about the preservation of the natural aspects and the animal and plant life. So our duties are around the preservation of the environment that we live in. The trustees particularly, but it applies to the whole of the organisation, are very aware of the long-term perspective of the nature of the Manx Museum and National Trust. We are not here for a few years. We are looking after a landscape, buildings, artefacts that are, in some cases, over 1,000 years old, and we hope that they will continue. Obviously, it's our duty to preserve them for the future, which means that we do have that long-term perspective. We're also a significant landowner. I mean, I always say that we're like the fourth biggest landowner in the island or something. It's right up there, anyway. We are a significant landowner, and we own and look after some of the most beautiful parts of the island. So I think putting together that duty and respect of land and our long-term perspective means that, of course, we are going to have an interest in climate change, in sustainability, in biodiversity. I mean, that comes with the territory. That is part of the thing. That is by the nature of what we do. It's also natural, I think, for the Manx Museum and National Trust to partner with our friends at the Manx Wildlife Trust. As Edmund has said, we are different, but we're complementary. So I think we're complementary in terms of structure, in terms of expertise, and in terms of the focus, our specific focus. So it's that complementary nature. But the important thing is that we have shared interests and values. I think that's the important. It's that shared values that is important, which means we know that this is going to be a marriage of friends. This is a wonderful opportunity for collaboration. The Memorandum of Understanding actually lists a few. So conservation is one. Learning from each other is a lovely one. I think that's fantastic that we have the opportunity to learn from each other. And one of the others is to pursue the goals of the biosphere. And we should not forget that one of those goals, the pledge, is to support and promote cultural heritage. So it's very much it is entwined with what we do. So that's 2 out of 4. Well done. I am delighted. I really am genuinely delighted, and I'm quite confident that this collaboration will be to the benefit of both the island and its people. So I look forward to working together.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Yes, our organisations have worked together for many years in various different ways, and we face some challenges from time to time, which I think is always, so in a way, makes you stronger because you can face the things that come along. This MOU cements the relationship between the two organisations, and it provides a commitment to helping each other further our common aims. And also, as Jonathan has already said, I think it's good for us as partners, it's good for the Isle of Man, for Biosphere, for biodiversity and all our environment. So it's a real pleasure and a privilege that we've been able to get together for this. Although we haven't been in existence for as long as MNH, we are approaching our 50th anniversary, and we also take the long-term perspective. So that's why I think this is so key. It's possibly one of the lesser known of MWT's charitable objectives, but just to quote it, to record and study places and objects of botanic, zoological, ecological, geological, archaeological and scientific interest, or of natural beauty, again the natural beauty is there, and to protect these from injury, ill treatment or destruction. The synergies are pretty close, aren't they, really, when you come to that. In terms of what we do together already, the one that stands out to some extent for me is the fact that MWT have supplied calf wardens for over 10 years. And that's such an iconic site for the Isle of Man. Such a privilege to be involved with that. And our joint working speaks for the benefits that can come out of that joint working. The fantastic example for me is the recent thing that Lara was mentioning at a talk recently, that the increase in Manx shearwater numbers has gone from 0 to 700 pairs. I mean, we don't often shout about these things, but we actually do achieve things, which is fantastic. Another key area for joint working is the very fragile area of the Blaff Curragh. And Jonathan was saying about land ownership, and the ownership of land in that area is marvellous, and we'd like to work together to improve that whole, I suppose it's almost its own ecosystem. Like-minded organisations such as ours can make a real difference now and long into the future, hopefully embracing other partners along the way and moving from pockets of nature to connected, vibrant, natural tapestry. Really, a green lace is the term that seems to be getting used more and more. I think between us we can help to achieve that. It's very important. We already work in things like the Manx Biodiversity Recording Partnership. MNH and MWT are 2 of the 3 partners. And again, this is so important because that gathering of data then underpins what we're doing and allows us to measure the achievements that we're making. And quite often they can be forgotten. So we have the potential to collaborate in many areas, and one of the ones that I think is so important is education. Learning about the world we live in is a lifelong journey, I think we all know. But at certain stages in our lives, the opportunity to immerse ourselves in learning is provided, and the most obvious is being that stage when we're at school and we can immerse ourselves. And being able to help our students understand about the natural world will be a fantastic thing to do, something we can do in collaboration. So whilst celebrating our differences, commonality of approach and interpretation must be the way forward. And also, I hate to mention it, but funding is always a crucial part. And so the economies of scale can come in by working together. And we can also, where appropriate, make joint bids for things. I think these things all start to make some more sense. I think I'll finish just by saying that Manx Wildlife Trust embrace the reality that no one organisation can ever alone achieve everything, particularly when we're facing climate change, biodiversity loss, people's disconnection with nature. Working together, developing the synergies, supporting the differences is the way forward. And this MOU is an important stride. I don't think it's just a step. Thank you.
I'm going to reiterate a little bit, give some thanks, and give a little bit of why I'm so pleased to be here today with this happening. So I think partnerships and collaboration are at my core, and I think Manx Wildlife Trust Board have shown me that it's at our core, which is fantastic. And before I came here in January, I'd heard about the Biosphere and read about it, and it was a huge attraction to me that here was this all-island brand that allowed people to collaborate and work together and share things. And quickly realised that, you know, we already had a fantastic relationship with MNH and others, and let's explore if we can develop that. And I'd come from the Royal Botanic Garden in Edinburgh and the Royal Zoological Society in Edinburgh, where MOUs was in the culture, and that's what we did globally. And from that, we then did lots of nice things together. This was always the top of the list. It's not the first, but it was the top of the list. And I think that, be it the farmers or the whales and dolphins and beach buddies or whatever, I think it's an important place for us to be able to say and show people and show the island that we're collaborating and absolutely wanting to do things together. And one thing, you know, people have said to me coming here, you're in a small island now, but I do have 2 years in a very tiny island at St Helena on my shoulders, where actually 4,000 people and 10 by 6 with one boat a month is an extreme small island. And I learnt there just how absolutely key it is that people work together and that you maximise what you've got and you find efficiencies and you try and do things together. So this is fantastic. So there are lots of opportunities, there's great potential, and I'm really delighted with, you know, the working that we already do and the potential ahead for us with MNH. So thank you. I'm going to just give I should say about the exhibition, please do keep buying, and after it's closed in a couple of days you can still buy them online up until Christmas, so please look online. Thanks to Graham and Laura again, and Jean Buck, who's not here, for the exhibition, because it is wonderful, and thanks for our continued relationship.